Chapter 6 here takes a really kind of a deeper dive into all of the different components that make up a PC. And what Chapter 6 tries to do is paint you a really fairly reliable picture of how it is that you might go about and select a computer that's right for you. So this is page 209. And what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit more pragmatically how it is you might go about selecting a computer, just based on the things that have the most impact. So, like I've mentioned before, at my core, I am a cheapskate of sorts. You wouldn't know this by how many pieces of electronic equipment are just kind of like uselessly strewn about my house, but it is nonetheless true. So I'm a cheapskate, and I like bang for my buck. And when I talk to students and when I listen to what students try to tell me it is that they're looking for in a computing device. So again, it's going to be a phone, it's going to be a laptop, it's going to be a tablet, a desktop. It doesn't really matter. What I always tell them, the best advice is to really look at your needs and do not go above and beyond what you think you're going to need. If you think to yourself, I'm going to grow into needing, something really extreme, the feedback I invariably get from students or clients is, we never grew into needing what I thought we were going to need. Just be realistic with what it is that you're looking for. So right here, again, this is page 209. This is in Chapter 6. I just want to highlight the different kinds of machines there are and why you might get them. And then it's really up to you to decide what components of that are the most important. So when it comes to a smartphone, what I will tell you is once you are in an ecosystem, so once you are in Android or once you are in iOS, it makes it really hard to want to go to the other one. So if you've always had an Apple device, for most people, it's true, your next device should just be an Apple device because you're going to get some upgrades, you're going to get some better speed, you're going to get a better camera, and you're not going to feel like you're missing anything. If you've already had an Android phone, the same is true there. You're still going to have access to all your software. You're still going to get a better camera. You're still probably going to get better performance, and just keep going from there. Switching back and forth or flopping between one OS and the other, between iOS and Android, you lose things, you gain things, but for most people, it's really not worth the hassle. So I just suggest whatever, don't. The other thing I suggest for most people is, if you can save yourself some money, do. What I do, and again, I have way too many electronic devices. I have an iOS device. I'm holding, actually, here, we'll go the full route. I am holding an iPad right now, and literally right next to me is an Android tablet because I'm stupid and I spend too much money, but despite being a cheapskate. But both of those were bought after the devices were old enough that they were clearing them out. So like on Best Buy or Apple or wherever, I always buy them when they are on clearance. I do the same thing with smartphones. So when a new Pixel device comes out or when a new Apple device comes out, I know, hey, great, I can wait like 4 months. I can get last year's iOS or Android device for half price, and I can sell whatever I have now for another half of what I just bought that for. So practically every year I buy last year's smartphone at half price. I sell my 2-year-old smartphone for half of that price, and I keep going from there. And it turns out I never spend, once you take in the factor of how much I sold the other smartphone for, I almost never pay more than $250. Now, I'm super active in trying to get that done, but if you're like, man, that is a ton of hassle and I just don't want to do that, that's fine too. It's perfectly okay to hold on to a smartphone for 2 years, and then if you have a carrier and you're happy with them, just let them give you a subsidy on that. Let them say, hey, we'll give you this for $20 a month if you stay with us for 2 years. Hey, that's fine. If you were going to stay with them for 2 years and you can get away with a half price brand new smartphone, I say go for it. Next on our list here is tablets. And I know I just used tablets in my example there, and the same is going to be true here. Tablets really are best when they are just a consumption device. So when you are using it to read, potentially e-textbooks, great, go for it. When they are being used to, chew through your emails, they're really great at doing that. Couch surfing, sitting on your butt and finally catching up on, a series of something on Netflix, go for it. They're really fantastic for that. But really, don't spend a ton of money on there unless you have a real need for something that's super, super high powered. In the iOS world, that would mean, the standard 9.7 inch iPad. You can get one as low as $250 that was minted this year. That is a fabulous deal. If you need just a little bit more, get an iPad Air, the very brand new one. That's $500, and are you really going to get that much more utility out of it? I guess I'm not sure. I would honestly just buy the $250 iPad. This one is the $250 iPad. On the Android side, it is not as easy as that. I have it is getting to be 4 years old now. Galaxy Tab S2. Android devices are a little bit more difficult. Oftentimes they're a little bit more expensive, and there's just not a lot of tablets in that space. Far and away the most popular Android tablet is the Kindle Fire HD8 or HD10. Those are fine devices, but they're really slow in comparison to even the $250 iPad. My suggestion would be this: if you're really, really looking to buy an Android tablet, shoot me a message and I'll try to help you walk through it, because there's just not one I would say, here's the brand name I would go for. Samsung would really be the only brand that makes a ton of these other than the Kindle, which is Amazon brand. An Ultrabook is next on the list here. If you need a laptop and you are dead certain that the only things you're ever going to do are web surfing, email, Netflix, and maybe just a little bit of photo management, right? So you're going to hook your smartphone up to it. You're going to get your photos off of there for long-term storage. And, maybe you're going to tweak them a little bit here and there, but nothing super duper heavy. There's a wealth of Ultrabooks out there for you. These are the most important things. Never, ever, ever get less than 8 gigabytes of RAM on any system. RAM, again, is the really fast, really short-term storage that we have on our devices. The more RAM, the better. Ultrabooks oftentimes will try to save you a little bit of money by putting 4 gig of RAM on a system. Don't do it. That's going to be a system that's going to feel slow sooner rather than later, and it's just not worth the $100 or the $200 of savings, because you're gonna be investing in another Ultrabook sooner rather than later. But there are tons of them out there, and it really doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. Microsoft makes some really good Ultrabooks. Mac makes some really good Ultrabooks. Toshiba, Sony. Don't buy those. But Samsung, Acer, Asus, they make really good ones. So there's just a huge array of Ultrabooks that you might be able to invest in. But an Ultrabook is a traditional laptop, so it's a clamshell, which means that the lid will only open, maybe 115, maybe 120 degrees, which means it won't flip all the way back. So if you were hoping to get a lot more like tablet viewing out of it, you are going to invest in a 2-in-1. A 2-in-1 essentially just means you can flip the lid all the way back 180 degrees, and then you can use it like a tablet. most people, when I get feedback, and most manufacturers when they get feedback, it's really only a select few people who are really willing to, bend that display all the way back and use it like a tablet. That's a really small share of the market. And again, here with your 2-in-1s, avoid the ones with fewer than 8 gig of RAM. Either operating system, it doesn't matter. 8 gig of RAM here is going to be the biggest factor that will make you happy with its overall performance. A laptop is the same as an Ultrabook, just with a better processor in it. You're going to spend a lot more money for these. Ultrabooks typically tap out at about like $1,200 as far as what their maximum cost is going to be. If you're looking for something like a gaming laptop, if you're looking for something like a video editing laptop, that's going to have a real desktop class processor in there. For us now, that's going to mean like an i7 or an i9 from Intel. Those are going to run you $1,500, $1,700, $2,300, and you had better really do your homework here, because that's a substantive investment. And again, never ever less than 8 gig of RAM. Finally, desktops. These are the least flexible, but they offer you the most upgradability down the road. So a desktop is going to allow you to increase the RAM very easily. It's going to allow you to increase the hard drive storage space very easily. Potentially, it's going to let you add other peripheral devices, so better, faster Wi-Fi or better, faster graphics cards, etc. Really, there's no floor and there's no ceiling to what you can spend on a desktop. With a desktop, same deal. 8 gig of RAM is really the lowest you ever want to go, but don't pay the manufacturer to upgrade the RAM if you can change it. On a traditional desktop, you're going to think things like HP and Dell, things like that. It is dead simple and dead cheap for you to be able to add RAM yourself. You're going to save hundreds of dollars if you do it by yourself, with no tools and with like 3 minutes of spare time. Honestly, it is that fast. It is that cheap. If you were to go to Dell to upgrade to 16 gig of RAM, which I suggest is a great amount of RAM for any operating system, 16 gig of RAM gives you a ton of extra room, and it's going to feel way faster than 8 gig. Dell is happy to charge you, $150 to do that. Or you can go to Amazon, get another 8 gig stick for like $30 or $60 and go from there. And it is not scary at all. It's a no tools disassembly for the case of almost every desktop to date. And you just pop that open, you unplug it so that you're not going to like accidentally start your computer again, which would be disastrous. You're going to unplug it, and it's literally with no tools. The RAM module just goes snap, snap, and you're done. There's no magic there, and it's really a fantastic way to upgrade for long term. So like I have a desktop, and that's where I do all of my, the video and the sound editing and, clipping these clips together and everything like that I do on a desktop. And the very first thing I did when I got it home was I upgraded the RAM and storage from a paltry 8 gig to 24 gig of RAM. And that really makes my life a ton easier. So whatever your needs are for your machines, just make sure that you're identifying what they are. Make sure that you are being realistic about what they are. On an iPad, if I can spend $250 and get 95% of all the utility I would get out of a $500 tablet, like, go for it. If I can spend half for last year's smartphone that gets just marginally less great pictures, but still great pictures, and is still fast as all get out, but I can spend $400 instead of $1,000, I say go for it. So be frugal, but make sure you're getting what you need. And if you have a question, don't be afraid to message me and ask. At the very least, we can talk through it, and you'll be more satisfied with the final decision that you do make.